If you look at the streaming market right now, the current Apple TV 4K sits completely unopposed as the smoothest piece of home theater gear you can buy. The navigation is buttery smooth, the frame rate matching is flawless, and it handles everyday media consumption without ever breaking a sweat. But if you assume Apple is just preparing another basic processor bump for their next iteration, you are looking in completely the wrong direction. The reality is much more aggressive. Apple is about to fundamentally change what this little black box actually does. The supply chain is flashing massive warning signs that this upcoming device isn't just an accessory anymore. It is being engineered to become the absolute center of your entire digital life. According to top insiders like Mark Gurman, Apple already has the final hardware locked down, but they are purposefully keeping it in the dark for a very specific strategic reason. They are perfectly syncing this hardware launch with the most aggressive software rewrite we have ever seen in the history of tvOS. We are not just talking about moving interface icons around or giving Siri a new glowing animation. We are staring down the barrel of full, uncompromised Apple intelligence running entirely locally on your TV. To process these advanced language models without that frustrating cloud delay, the internal hardware needs a violent and foundational upgrade. This is exactly where the highly anticipated Apple TV Pro steps into the spotlight. Right now, the third-generation model is coasting by on the older A15 Bionic architecture. That is essentially an iPhone 13 processor. It is perfectly adequate for launching streaming apps or scrubbing through a podcast, but it instantly chokes when you ask it to handle persistent AI background tasks. Renowned analyst Ming-Chi Kuo has made it incredibly clear that Apple is bypassing the gradual upgrade cycle entirely this time around. The upcoming Pro tier is heavily rumored to leapfrog straight to an A17 Pro or even a custom A18 silicon layout. That specific transition means dropping a massively powerful, desktop-caliber neural engine right into your living room setup. This allows your TV to locally process complex requests, understand deep contextual voice commands, and execute automation logic in a fraction of a millisecond. But let's be totally honest with ourselves here. Apple loves to put digital speed limits on their TV software. The absolute biggest mystery is whether they will finally take off the training wheels and let us actually use this raw computing power. Before we get into the crazy hardware leaks, I want to hear from you right now in the comments. Are you actually pushing your current streaming box to its limits with gaming and heavy smart home tasks? Or are you literally just using it as an overly expensive Netflix machine? Let me know down below. If we pivot and look closely at the supply chain reports coming out of DigiTimes and the ELEC, we can see exactly where Apple is directing all of this new processing headroom. They are directly targeting two massive bottlenecks in the living room: localized storage capacity and console-quality gaming. Currently, the most expensive Apple TV Max is out at a relatively tiny 128 gigabytes. The latest production leaks heavily suggest that the new baseline for the Pro model will immediately jump to 256 gigabytes, with options pushing even higher. A lot of casual users will immediately question why a device meant for streaming video from the cloud needs that much solid-state storage. The true answer is hidden inside Apple Arcade and their newfound obsession with bringing massive blockbuster games to their ecosystem. We have already watched the iPhone Pro run incredibly demanding titles like Resident Evil and Death Stranding natively. Now imagine taking that exact same A17 Pro architecture and ripping it out of a heavily constrained smartphone chassis. When you place that silicon inside a larger vented box with continuous wall power and zero thermal throttling, the graphical ceiling vanishes entirely. The GPU can sustain its absolute peak clock speeds indefinitely without ever overheating or dimming your screen. This creates a legitimate threat to entry-level gaming consoles, especially when you factor in hardware-accelerated ray tracing and native support for your favorite PlayStation and Xbox controllers. But absolutely none of this graphical horsepower matters if the wireless connectivity chokes under the pressure of huge file sizes. Digging into recent developer logs highlighted by MacRumors, there is mounting evidence that Apple is preparing to integrate their proprietary N1 networking chip into this exact chassis. This integration unlocks the true potential of Wi-Fi 7 and Bluetooth 6 directly inside your entertainment center. While your standard Wi-Fi 6 router handles compressed YouTube videos without a problem, it completely falls apart in a modern smart home that is saturated with competing wireless signals. Upgrading to Wi-Fi 7 is the golden key here because it unlocks the ultra-wide 6 GHz band for your media consumption. This guarantees pristine wireless consistency and effectively eliminates network latency entirely. If you are streaming high bitrate 4K movies from a local server or beaming lossless audio to multiple HomePods, this massive bandwidth pipeline is absolutely mandatory. Beyond just the visual upgrades, this completely reshapes how spatial audio is processed in your living room, allowing true, uncompressed surround sound to be beamed wirelessly to your speakers with zero dropouts. It transforms your standard living room into a dynamic, theater-grade acoustic environment without requiring you to run a single physical wire through your walls. Which brings us to the ultimate endgame of this entire hardware refresh: total domination of your smart home ecosystem. When you fuse an A18-level neural engine with an incredibly advanced thread-border router, absolute magic starts to happen behind the scenes. Right now, when you open a smart door or walk past a motion detector, there is always that annoying tiny fraction of a second where the system has to think before the lights actually turn on. By shifting all of that complex automation logic away from the cloud and processing it completely locally on the new silicon, that frustrating delay is totally vaporized. Your security cameras will analyze faces instantaneously. Your sensors will trigger routines the millisecond you cross a room, and the entire house will feel like it is reacting directly to your thoughts. This is the grand strategy Apple is executing right in front of us. They want to capture the casual gaming market, revolutionize voice control, and lock you inside their smart home ecosystem forever. They are doing all of this at a ruthlessly competitive price tag, aggressively targeted right around that $149 to $199 mark. They are building a Trojan horse for your living room, cleverly disguised as a simple streaming box. When you step back and look at the complete picture, the master plan is incredibly brilliant. They are creating an uncompromised digital brain that will easily power your living room for the next 6 or 7 years without showing a single sign of age. If you were sitting there with your credit card out, getting ready to buy the current discounted model today, you need to stop immediately. The massive generational leap that is coming later this fall will completely rewrite the rules of what a streaming box can actually do. Hold on to your cash, wait for the definitive Pro model to drop, and get ready for a completely different television experience.